3 drugs were there?
Well, the 3-drug protocol has been found to be constitutional in many courts. However, we continue to be continually litigated over the use of the 2nd and 3rd drugs, and currently bromide and potassium chloride. And therefore, the use of 5-pentyl sodium in an amount that would be 5 grams, which is 2.5 times that we currently use in that particular drug, would be and is an option that, as we vetted this through our litigation expert, Dr. Derkowitz, as an acceptable method that would uphold the legal obligation of lethal injection. So the fact that we now will not be using the 2nd of 2 drugs, which has continued to be the litigation issue, we believe that we should be able to move forward.
Is this drug the drug that serves now as a sedative?
That is correct.
Director, nobody else in the country is using the 1-drug protocol. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is that a concern that you'll be the first one, at least in the U.S., to do this?
We are correct that there's no other state that uses a 1-drug protocol, nor is there another state that uses an intermuscular protocol. I'm confident that the use of the 1-drug protocol will legally do the obligation that we're required to in this state. You know, I'm in a position where I'm taking legal action, whether I use 3 drugs or whether I use 1 drug. And when the entire legal action is in reference to the 2 drugs, and it's been verified by experts that the 1-drug protocol can be used and be successful in completion of our legal obligation, we felt that we could move to that. I have talked to other directors at various times across the country about the use of the 1-drug protocol. In fact, it's been recommended in a couple states, and they did not choose to accept the 1-drug protocol. We felt at this time that it was the thing that we could do to ensure that we were able to legally move forward and maybe cut down on some of the issues with continual legal issues in this state, not only for the department who's responsible for that process, but for the victims of crime, for the victims that have to come to Lucasville, and also to ensure that we do what people in this state want us to do, and that's carry out the death penalty.
Director Collins.
Let me go back here, and I'll get everybody. Let me go back here, and then we'll come up here.
Director, what's the argument that's been raised in regards to the 2 drugs that you no longer be using?
The argument that's been raised, not only in this state, but in other states, and actually the 3-drug protocol was found to be constitutional by the United States Supreme Court in the Bays case out of Kentucky, and our process was similarly same to that. The issue that has been litigated and continues to be litigated is that failure to properly administer 5-pentyl sodium, the very first drug, that if it was not properly administered, then you cause great pain and suffering with the use of the second 2 drugs. We have eliminated that argument because we will use just the first drug, sodium 5-pentyl.
But could you walk us through these drugs as far as, I forget what does what. I know one basically puts someone out, then another one was supposed to stop the heart, collapse the lung. I could be wrong in this. Can you kind of walk us through what these drugs, what each one of them did?
The 3 drugs that we were using in our previous protocol, 5-pentyl, was to sedate you and put you to sleep, render you unconscious. The second drug was to, in essence, in simple terms, and I'm not a doctor, paralyze the muscles. And the third drug was to stop the heart. The argument being that if the first drug wasn't properly administered, you could put someone in a state where their muscles, they couldn't show any pain if you had properly done the first one.
Well, then how are they going to die? I mean, what's going to actually kill them?
Well, when you go to sleep, you eventually stop. You will eventually stop breathing, and as a result of not breathing, you expire.
How long will that process take, and would there be any pain, or is there any way to know?
Well, I don't believe there's ever been any pain and I've witnessed 32 executions, maybe 31. I witnessed every one but the very first one, so it must have been 31. So I've never seen anybody in pain. The current process, from the time of the actual beginning of the execution process, which is immediately after the statement and we start pushing the drugs, it typically should take somewhere in the area of 15 to 20 minutes. That can vary depending on how fast the drugs are pushed through the system. We also, during our existing process, after each drug, we do a IV solution through the lines to ensure that those drugs have entered the system. With this particular process, the one drug protocol, those vials of drugs, those syringes will be pushed one right after the other. So the time frame is probably going to be close to the same. If we were to ever have to go to the backup process, we believe from our experts, of course, intramuscular uptake of the drugs is somewhat different than intravenous intake of the drugs, but they tell us they believe that to be somewhere between 15 and 30 minutes with the intramuscular injection of the two drugs that will be used in our protocol.
Director, in that you've conceded that there have been some problems with the first drug in the current 3-drug protocol. At what point, if you were administering only that drug, do you consider yourself to have a problem? Do you continue to administer more drug, and how long would that process go on before you'd say enough?
I'm not quite sure I understand the question.
Well, if it doesn't kill them sufficiently quickly, if you've had problems the first time around, supposedly putting people sufficiently to sleep to then paralyze them before you stop their heart, at what point would you deem there to be a problem with the amount of one drug administered such that you'd have to deliver more, and how long might that entire period take?
Well, with the existing protocol that we use 2 grams of thiopentol. And then we do a flush after that. So those drugs have gotten in the system. I can't talk about burst suppression and all that. That's up to the experts in pharmacology and PharmD and all those people. But they do talk about that, as I've said in court many times, and listen to the arguments about burst suppression, how fast and how quick and all that. The issue with our previous protocol was if you didn't properly administer that drug, then you could create pain. As I previously said, I have been there for 31 times and not seen anybody in pain.